for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening, Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. That's right. Today's Tuesday, February 20th, 2018. 51 days into the new year, just 314 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? It's going to be one of those nights on Fade to Black tonight because actor Kerr Smith joins the show for the first time. Love it when we have that first-time guest. Haven't had that first-time guest disclaimer since last week. And then Kerr's going to join me live in the studio this Friday over at Coast to Coast. It's going to be a lot of fun. I just don't get, people live in the studio too often. And so there you go. Tomorrow night, Zarathustra is here. Another first-time guest. Thursday night, another Fader night. I think John Rappaport may be back. That's a big may. He's got the flu. We'll see how he's handling his cough. But nonetheless, Fader nights. And the call-in numbers are 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. Open lines all night long. It's been a great couple of weeks on the show. Well, it's been a great couple of years on the show. And really looking forward to Fader night. And, I say it, every week, every other week when I'm over at Coast, to do back-to-back open lines, right? Thursday night, Fader night, and then Friday night, open lines over at Coast. The amount of phone calls and the people that I interact with, it just makes those two nights on the air very special. So, hey, there you go. That's our week this week. And I had something else I wanted to mention, but it doesn't matter. I'll remember it later. Follows on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Facebook, YouTube, everything is Fade to Black, JChurchRadio. You know what to do. Go now. Follow, like, and subscribe. You can do everything that you need to do over on our website. Okay? All right. Have you heard of a black eye? Okay, a black eye, and then there's the red eye, right? And that's when you add a shot of espresso to a cup of coffee. Now, depending on what part of the country you go into, maybe even, what part of the world, the definition is different in different places. In other words, you go to New York, you ask for a red eye, they may give you one shot. If you're here in L.A., depends on what part of L.A., you ask for a red eye, you get two shots. Right? But if you go to New York and you ask for a black eye, you're going to get two shots. And you come out here to L.A., a black eye is one shot. And it's just different. I'm not saying that's for sure about New York, but you never know depending on where you go. San Francisco, Portland, it doesn't matter. Seattle, right? Okay. So I've way graduated beyond the black eye. Okay. I'm just going to tell you right now. What I do is this. I brew a cup of espresso and add coffee to it. I had a shot of coffee. I go the opposite. I really do. And when you love coffee as much as I do, and I love coffee, and I always have, and that goes back to my parents. There was, when you remember the old percolators, right, that plugged into the wall, and they had the thing on the top, and they put the coffee, and you smell that percolator, because it was percolating, You smell that all day. And I've enjoyed the taste of coffee since I was probably 5, 6 years old. Didn't really start drinking coffee till I was 13 or 14. And then went to Panama and started experiencing that South American coffee from down there. Panamanian coffee is insanely good, and Brazilian and Peruvian coffee, it's just really, really good. But now I am so spoiled with it because my experience, my tongue with coffee, I know coffee. I know it's been sitting after 5 minutes. I know when it's been sitting for 10 minutes. I know it's been sitting for an hour. There's that aspect. I can tell the difference between all the different roasts from all different parts of the world. I can tell right away. I can tell the difference between Italian and Vienna and what's going on with a good French roast or a South American coffee or a Central American coffee. I can tell the difference. Papua New Guinea. I can tell what I just know. I know my coffees. Well, anyway, now, because I have elevated my game so much that the black eye, espresso is the way to go. Cuban coffee, oh man, Armenian coffee, Turkish coffee, all really, really good. Italian espresso is really, really good. But when you drink so much of it and then you go back to like a normal drip, although it has to be really, really fresh to be good. And you avoid thinking about this as weak, right? Well, what I'm saying is this. When you elevate your game into the espresso world, into the black eye world, into the red eye world, and you start doing that, suddenly, I would go to different cafes, and I would look at them, and I'd go, I want a quad. I want a quad I want a small drip, right? I just want a small drip with 4 shots. So put the 4 shots in first and then fill it up with whatever's left. God, that's where I'm at. Oh, man. All right. Yeah, espresso plus a shot of coffee. That's exactly it. That's what I do. I'll do a full cup, 4 shots. 4 shots and a shot of coffee is about where I start. That's about where I start. Mark Tarana says he never drank coffee. He's in Australia, so he drinks tea. See, that's not, you can't say that you never drank coffee when you've drank tea your whole life. It's really the same thing. Yeah, okay, it's the same thing. Same thing. All right, caffeine fix, hot, yeah, same thing. All right, where am I? Oh, I love my coffee. I really do. The Sandbox. Come and hang out with us on Twitter, hashtag F2B. Any questions or comments, hashtag F2BQ. You can email throughout the show, Jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. I'm going to let you know my email has been jammed for the last week about Tom DeLonge. I'm going to say out of the, it's in the hundreds. I've had one positive Tom DeLonge email, one that, told me to lay off. And or not to lay off, just to write it out, that he was supporting DeLonge. I think we are all supporting DeLonge, even through our disappointment. But man, the amount of email that I've been typing and returning and just trying to chill everybody out. I don't want to give anybody the wrong impression. All I am doing here, by the way, and responding to all of this email, is I'm just making everybody aware, because it just seemed like this whole story just slid by, just like, okay, if nobody notices, we can move forward kind of thing. And you can't do that with this community. You cannot do it. You will get caught. It's just the way it is. So, wow. But you can email throughout the show. Go ahead, send me more. Jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. And don't forget, everybody, to sign up for our Soul Tech Gathering. It's up at East City Ranch this August, 9th through the 12th. It's easy to get to, soultechgathering.com. All of the links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. All you got to do is head over to the website, click, go, check it out. Everything that you need to know, all questions answered right there. Who the guests are, what the activities are, how to sleep, how to eat, the locate. Everything you need is right there. Soul Tech Gathering. Okay, we're only selling 300 tickets, not 3,000. We're only selling 300. This is going to be a very limited, intimate gathering of all of you Fadernauts up there, where we are going to teach, learn, talk, party, have fun. Well, party without the fun stuff. Okay, but we're going to have great conversations. I guarantee that. You know what we will do, though? I promise. For all of you out there that need their sugar fix, after the second day of health food, I will lead a caravan, okay, and we'll drive to town. We'll drive into Trout Lake, and we'll hit the candy section and get some ice cream, okay? It's like your dad, taking you out for candy behind your mom's back. Then your mom comes home from work, looks in the trash can, and says, "What is this?" as she pulls out the Reese's wrapper. Right? And you're all cold, busted, and you've still got chocolate on you from somewhere. It'll be like that. So I promise we'll go do that. Doesn't it sound fun? East City Ranch. This August, the Soul Tech Gathering. Go and get your tickets now. Our next event is going to be, it's coming up, Contact in the Desert. It's June 1st through the 4th, 2018, in Indian Wells, Palm Springs at the Renaissance Resort and Spa. If you head over to their website, okay, there's some things that aren't finished on the Contact in the Desert site, some events that have been prepped and ready, but you can kind of see it in the schedules. So when you go to Contact in the Desert, and we've got all the links up at jimmychurchradio.com. If you go there and you click on the schedule, 4 schedules pop up there. Ignore those. Go to the one below that says download, and then you can open that up, and then the schedule's there, and you can adjust it. It's PDF and so forth, and you can look at it. Full schedule of events is there now. It's getting fine-tuned, but roughly this is what is going on for us. Friday night, Fade to Black, broadcasting live studio audience. All of you Fadernauts, we do it every year. We've got a great room, and so that's going to be awesome. So that's Friday night. Saturday, now I'm going to be announcing and emceeing all over there, but Saturday, the main events are that night is the awards dinner. Okay, so I will be there with Rita. We have a table. We have 10 seats at that table. That's not for sale yet, even though I announced it last night. The tickets for that are not available. There's only 10. So I'm just warning you guys. It's going to be up in the next couple of days. So the awards dinner, and then right after that is the magic show on Saturday night. And I'll be hosting that too as well. They overlap. Okay. So I've got to go and host that in the amphitheater, and then I'll be back 5 minutes later after I do that, back to the award ceremony, back to the table. So that's Saturday night. And then Sunday night, which I do this every year, Sunday night I'll be hosting the closing ceremony and panel on Sunday night at 7 p.m. in the amphitheater. And my panelists have not been finalized there. I've added some, but there's a couple of others. And once those get added on there, I'll announce who those are. I know who they are, but I just don't want to do it in advance. It's kind of like that, right? Okay. So full weekend. Full Fadernaut weekend, and come and hang out with us at Contact in the Desert. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. Over 800 archive shows, just $2 a month. Go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the podcast banner, get it done. You can also become a Fadernaut in our membership section on the site. Right before the show tonight, somebody tweeted out, "Hey, Where do I, what's up with the membership? It's very simple. Go to jimmychurchradio.com. At the top of the page, membership right there. Click on it. Takes you straight there. Don't forget all of our sponsors here on the show, Life Change Tea, GetTheTea.com, River Moon Coffee, New Pharma, Ancient Life Oil, Sacred Skulls, Numana Food Storage, and Bearing Optics. I spoke to Alec Hoffman today over at Bearing Optics. He tells everybody hello. He is a Fadernaut. And seriously, thank you, man. Just thank you. He's so happy. And he's so happy that we decided that we're going to do a special Fadernaut promotion, and we're going to get that. Only had tea from a bag. Jimmy's only had tea from a bag. No, Jimmy's never had tea, period. What do you think about that? I've had iced tea, hot tea. I can't even remember the last time. No tea. No tea for me. Mark Tarana says no tea either. He hasn't had coffee or tea. Mark, it's time for some excitement in your life. I'll send you some River Moon coffee. Do you need it ground or do you need whole bean? Wait a minute. He's never drank coffee, so he doesn't have a grinder. Do you have a way to brew coffee if I send you coffee? Probably doesn't. You want me to send you the cold brew, the cold press? Do you need that so you can just twist the cap off, Mark? Let me know. We'll change your life, man. Can you imagine the way that Mark tweets now from Australia? Can you imagine that guy on coffee? That's Armageddon. That's the Four Horsemen for sure. All right, where am I? Let's keep this show moving along. Let's get it cracking. Happy birthday to today. The Stone Roses frontman Ian Brown is 55. Double nickel. Our dead guy's birthday today. Need a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. Kurt Cobain. 1967 and 1994. Died at the age of 27. Of course, singer, frontman, guitarist for Nirvana. And had that breakthrough album, Change the World, literally. Nevermind, which had, of course, amongst others, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Never forget the first time that I saw that song. You know what? I've told the story before, but it's true. It was Chris Cornell came on the Soundgarden tour bus. We were playing video games or something in the back. Comes on, he's got a videotape. Dude, I got Kurt's, new video or it was something. Popped it in, and it was Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I watched that, and I went, man, whoa, yeah. And then, of course, took his own life at the age of 27, at the height of their popularity, too. Happy birthday to Kurt Cobain. Man, what a drag. Anyway, on this day in history, OTD, 1962, John Glenn is successfully launched into space aboard the Friendship 7 spacecraft on the first orbital flight by an American astronaut. There you go. Fader fact. All right. Now, this one, now I bust out the Fader facts, and if I get one more email from the Netherlands about them being the number 2 exporter of food, I vetted it. It's all over the net. Everybody from the Netherlands says that they don't have food there. We don't have anything to export. Are you out of your mind? Wait a minute. These charts and graphs and reports say a whole other thing. They insist that they keep everything to themselves. It's pretty funny. Anyway, this Fader fact here, though, is not going to shock anybody. But, again, vetted. 99%, and I want to know if you're one of these, 99% of all participants in multi-level marketing lose money. 99%. So, have you ever done it? All Herbalife, all of that. Have you ever done it? Some multi-level marketing scheme. Have you ever done it? And have you ever made money? Your initial investment of whatever, $1,000, $1,200, you buy all these products, sits in your house, for 10 years. You use some of it. The rest of it you throw away. You can't sell any of it. Have you participated? Oh, man, what's this? I don't know. That's a Mossrite, though. That was my first guitar. I had a white one. I had a white Mossrite just like this. Wow, that's a trip. Whose guitar is this? Who sent this? Don Nee. Posting a picture of a Mossrite. Okay, what's the story? What's the story? Boom. 99% all. What? Where do heavy metal bands rank in exports? I know, right? But yeah, nobody in the Netherlands wants to. The Netherlands makes such incredible cheese. It's so Gouda. I know, right? It is Gouda. And, wouldn't that account too as well? I'm saying number 2 in food exports. Okay, that's it. Overall, number 2. There is nobody else. It's the Netherlands. Okay, 99% of all participants. Have you consider investing in a French press for coffee that you can sell to faders to go with that delicious River Moon coffee? That's a good idea. Rita, I'm retweeting this. Sabrina says we should have fade to black French presses. I think that's a great idea. That's a good idea. We'll look into that. Yeah, we can do that. We can pull that off. There's no reason why we shouldn't have that. Okay, where am I? So tonight, actor Kerr Smith is with us. And we broadcast from Burbank, television, movie capital of the world, right? No, it's not Bollywood. It's not, what do they call Nigeria? Nollywood. Nigeria is the number 2 by volume of films created, number 2 in the world behind Hollywood. They make more movies in Nigeria than they do India. Nigeria. It's called Nollywood. Anyway, we're right in the middle of it here, which means actors, actresses, screenwriters, producers, directors, cameramen, makeup people, makeup artists, set designers, set dressers, model, costumes. It's the industry here. And if you go up and down any street in Burbank, any street, pretty much any street at any time, you will drive down and you will see costume shops. You'll see movie production companies, small, large, medium, all the names that you've ever heard of course, ABC, NBC, Disney, all of that is here. CBS, all of that exists, sure. Paramount, Warner Brothers, all those things are here. But it's the other stuff, the smaller. It's all of the things that support the film and television industry. So when you live in Burbank, you're part of it. Universal City, you're part of it. Studio City. There's a reason why it's called Studio City, folks, right? These are all these little towns and cities that are here. And so when I bring out somebody like Kerr Smith on the show and talking Hollywood, we don't get a chance to talk Hollywood directly, not as much as I would like to, but we're going to do that tonight. And I started to think about what Rita and I have been watching on television lately. And as I started to think about that, because we love to binge watch TV shows. We squeeze it in. We have a very busy schedule, but when our downtime is there, we enjoy it. And the editing and writing, we're critiquing the directors, how it shot, how it was written. We do all of that, okay? But and I started thinking about what Rita and I watched, in the past week or so. And believe it or not, 2 nights ago, over the weekend, we watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah. We sat down. I think, Rita, didn't we have takeout? What did we have? I forget. We had takeout. And we're over at the house. We get the recliners going, got our food, and we sit and we watch Close Encounters of the Third Kind. What a great movie. We've all seen it countless times, and I get that. But it got me thinking about the greatest films about E.T. of all time. So I started to compile this list. And as I put this together, I started, Fire in the Sky, right? That's one of the greats. And we just had Travis Walton on the show. But those are the obvious things, right? E.T. But then if you think about the massive amount of films that are household names in anywhere USA, like Alien, The Thing, how about The X-Files? How about Independence Day, Predator, right? E.T., the extraterrestrial, War of the Worlds, right? The Fifth Element, Prometheus, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Of course, 2001: A Space Odyssey, but and that's the great one for me, but it's the commercialized version of these things like Men in Black. What Steven Spielberg has done with things like Super 8. How about Contact? Right? And I could go on and on. The Abyss, Mars Attacks, Starship Troopers. Huge, huge film. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Right? I can all of the Star Trek movies, right? All of those. You look at the stuff that Vin Diesel was doing, like the Chronicles of Riddick. All of these are films about E.T. Avatar, Cocoon, right? The Arrival. You can go all the way back to Earth versus the Flying Saucers. And then, I'm putting my list together, and I forgot about Killer Clowns from Outer Space, one of my favorite movies of all time. But it goes on and on. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, low-budget film shot here. I'm going to actually have Rita, the two producers are neighbors of ours right here. So we're going to get the two brothers on the show. But it goes on and on. The list, and it's pop culture. It's what the industry does, and it's what Burbank and where we live, it's what they do. They are shooting. It's not so much science fiction, because it falls under that thing, but it's movies about aliens. Pacific Rim. I could go on and on. Battle of Los Angeles. I could go on and on. It's what we do here. We make movies about aliens. It kind of stopped me in my tracks when you really think about it. Hollywood loves aliens. We're going to talk about that tonight with actor Kerr Smith. He's going to be here in just a minute. And one of the things that I'm going to ask Kerr directly tonight, he's probably listening right now, that I'm going to ask him tonight is, if you're an actor in Hollywood and you're all into E.T., how does the casting director look at you? How does the director look at you? Other producers, TV networks, right? Film companies, production companies. How do they look at you? And I don't think they can really say any negative, right? Why? It's what they do to make that money. Think about that. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, actor Kerr Smith right here. Tomorrow night, Zarathustra's here. Thursday night is Fader night. Friday night, I'm over at Coast. Saturday night, I'm over at Coast. Sunday, I am sleeping. It's Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. We'll be right back with actor Kerr Smith. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station
station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Natural Health Solutions with Chris and Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie, how you doing?
Great, Chris.
Now, you're the CEO of GetTheTea.com, right?
Yes, I am.
What is GetTheTea.com? I mean, is this tea you buy in a store?
Well, no, it's not. Life Change Tea is just that. Life-changing. Life Change Tea is an herbal tea that gently cleanses your body from intruders.
What do you mean by intruders?
Well, intruders are toxins, chemicals, GMOs, heavy metals, and more. They're in our food, in our water, in our air we breathe.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
And Life Change Tea will help you with removing these, as you say, intruders?
That's right, Chris.
Are there side effects with this tea?
Well, you might lose a little weight. When you clean your colon, you lose weight. You feel better, and you have more energy.
Wow. Ronnie, where can people purchase Life Change Tea?
Oh, that's easy. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
Ronnie, I want to thank you for being on the show. People, don't forget, GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA. The Planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at kgraradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. kgraradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Just follow me on Twitter. Simple, simple, simple. At JChurchRadio. Follow me on Twitter. I'm a big, big social media guy. You can also go and follow me on my Facebook page, too, as well, and you will see that that's where I interact. Everything about the show, everything about our world and conspiracies and disclosure and health and wellness, all that stuff, I talk about all of it. And health and wellness, and then I post pictures of my barbecues over at the house. Actor Kerr Smith is fully engaged in the world of ufology. He is awake. Kerr is currently on a show called The Fosters for Freeform. He just wrapped ABC's Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., as well as Doubt and Wisdom of the Crowd. Kerr is best known for his lead roles in such shows as Life Unexpected and, of course, Dawson's Creek. Man, can you imagine? I mean, as big as Dawson's Creek was, if you were on that show, oh, man. I can't imagine what a life-changing event that must have been. He's also been in a lot of films, too, as well, like My Bloody Valentine, The Forsaken, and, of course, Final Destination. Early in his life, Kerr had a realization that there was something more to the world than he was being told. This led to a lifelong passion to discover the truth, and after years of research, he came to the conclusion that he's got to be on Fade to Black and Coast to Coast. That's it. He has changed everything. Friends, his journey is trying to figure out what this planet is doing. ETs, awakening, health, wellness. He's passionate about all of it. Now, we're going to discuss his career. We're going to discuss Hollywood, his recent decision to come out of the UFO closet. And I would like to welcome, first time to Fade to Black, actor Kerr Smith. Kerr, how are you, my friend?
Jimmy Church, how are you, man?
Hey, that's an intro. Now, you know what's funny? You've been doing this for a long time, man. You ever have an intro like that?
Not with a voice that resonates as well as yours does on the radio.
Oh, man, you sound good, man. Have you thought about radio?
You know, I've played a few radio guys in my time. Actually, Life Unexpected, I played basically a Jimmy Church.
Oh, I remember that. And you know what's funny? They don't, and you know this about Hollywood. Once in a while, they'll reach out to KTLA and grab some host, from the news, and you'll see them, play a role. But they don't go out and get guys like me to play the radio guys. They don't grab real newscasters. You know what I mean? They always have actors come in and do it. And those of us in the industry, right, we look back and we're like, man. And that's our reaction to it.
You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So do you think you're a radio guy because you played one on TV?
No. But here's what I did do in fear of exactly what you just said. I actually called Seacrest. And I went in and I observed him do his show one time because I was really more concerned with what goes on behind the scenes, off camera rather than because you can listen to the radio and know exactly what to do. But, what are you doing in the meantime? What gadgets are you fooling around with?
Right.
Things like that. And it was really, really interesting.
Right. And most people don't get it either. The stuff, when you see the nightly news go on or you hear, Coast to Coast start up at night, you don't understand what goes on all day long for those 2 or 3 hours on the air. Right? Or the hour on the air. It is an immense amount of work and production. It is a crazy thing that happens.
I'm sure it keeps you and Rita busy.
We don't stop. And you know that. You know that. Well, I was just talking before I brought you on about what Hollywood is. And for the world, Hollywood is at the center of everything, and the world is always focused back here. The entire planet doesn't understand really what Burbank and Studio City and Universal City and Glendale and North Hollywood and Hollywood, this piece of real estate, how invested this part of the world is into filmmaking and television. It's truly everybody that lives here, one way or another, is in film or television.
You can't go out to a restaurant without overhearing at least one conversation about, I'm writing this script, or I just did this, or I'm trying to do that. Everywhere you go. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, everywhere. And for you, I want to back up, and we have to talk about what Dawson's Creek did for you, because, and I said this, and I'm not playing, when you're on a show that gets that big, that quick, and becomes part of Americana, where you are blasted into the living rooms of every single home in the United States, that's got to be pretty nutty to go through. What was that like?
Pretty intense. It's, that's one of the big catalysts in my life. And, you can imagine I was, I'd just come from New York. I was in Los Angeles for literally, 2 months, I think it was. And I landed this job on Dawson's Creek. And at the time, if you had told me, Kerr, ideally, what job would you love to get right now? What's hot? Where would you want to be? I would have said Dawson's Creek because they had only done a few episodes and it was a hit. And I would have said Party of Five. It was a hit, but it was kind of on its way out, right?
Party of Five. Right.
Yeah. So one of the first auditions that I had when I moved to Los Angeles, believe it or not, was Party of Five. Now, I messed that one up pretty bad. I think I lost that role to, I think it was Jeremy London, but I can't remember. And then a couple of weeks later, I had an audition for Dawson's Creek, and after 3-4 more auditions and studio and going to network and all that, I ended up with this job. So I get down to, we shot it in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I get down there, and Josh Jackson and Vanderbeek, they're like, "Look, man, you're about to get shot out of a cannon," because this just happened for them. I mean, that's a really good analogy. I'd say 4 months into the job, my life completely changed, once everything started airing. I mean, you couldn't go to the grocery store. You couldn't do anything. You couldn't, it's like following you around, the Conscious Life Expo. Right. Pretty much like that.
Well, no, but I appreciate that. Yeah, and you're right about that. And I say this to people all the time, in my own, and Rita's and I, we have a bubble, we have friends, we have these things that we do. And in our community, it's great and it's fun. But I can still go to the store. Trust me, I can still do. I have no idea what that must be like. And inside of that, though, inside of that bubble, what is the conversation like? Is there conversation about ET? Is there conversation about conspiracies? Is there any of that because the big picture, Hollywood is driven by ET funding, right? If you want to green light a picture, alien invasion, right? There you go. Your script is often running. What goes on around the set? Or would you be afraid to bring it up?
I always feel somebody out first. Do I think they're going to be open to this conversation? Because I want to talk about it all the time. I love it. But I've very much been alone in the ufology world most of my life. Every once in a while, I'll bring it up and I'll find somebody that wants to have the conversation. And, but they still think, man, Kerr, you are kind of nuts. I mean, some of the theories that I have, which, to you and I and your listeners are just common knowledge, are not to most people. And, that's part of the reason why we're doing this, right? Is to get the word out there and wake people up.
Well, and so we almost have a paradox here, right? Yeah. It's kind of a weird thing where Hollywood, somebody just tweeted out Mars attacks, right? So here we have Mars attacks, and you can't really talk about the belief of ETs. You can play the role, right? You can do that. You can collect the money. You can sell the tickets. You can do all of that, but yet you still have to behave.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And, a lot of my favorite movies are 100% sci-fi. I mean, I heard you earlier, Contact, all the Star Trek stuff. I mean, that stuff resonates with me. It's just, and it's hugely popular. It's popular for a reason.
And yeah, it is popular for a reason. And you're younger than I am. And then we have these generations that are happening. And certainly one would say things about Dawson's Creek and that generation, and what is involved there. And then the generation, immediately after that. And as we move these generations along, the question of ET and their existence and visitation, it's second nature now. I don't think that any kid under the age of 20 on this planet believes that we're alone in the universe, right?
What's the estimated percentage now? It's around high 50s, isn't it? 60?
Well, see, it depends on how you do it. Yeah, that's a great point. If you did an overall poll, right, and you polled everybody from the age of 18 to 70, right, everybody, you would probably hit 50, 60, 70% about belief in UFOs. But if you divide that up and you go to, different segments of that, the younger you get, you're going to get close to probably 100%. I don't think that there's any question of those generations, of course, with me, but in those generations that get younger, you and I and below us, I think it's probably close to 100%.
Well, that is a fantastic number. I like that a lot. And you can feel it, that you're right. The kids are they're just, you talk about indigos and things like that. I mean, who knows? You guys have discussed wanderers before, and there probably are a lot of kids on the earth that are not kids. They know what's going on, and they're just much more aware, and they're here to move us into this, this new density that we're moving into. And I think it's fantastic. I mean, you can feel it.
What about your agent?
What do you mean?
Oh, you know what I mean. I mean,
I actually haven't talked to my agent yet. It is pilot season.
That's what.
Hold on. I talked to my manager today, and he didn't have any objections. In fact, he finds the subject interesting. So, we'll see. We'll see. Now, this is a first time for me, so it's a little scary.
Do you think that there's the possibility of, first off, everybody listens to Coast, and we're in Southern California. It's been, the number one overnight show for 25 years by a long, large amount. And those directors, producers, casting, people are all listening to the show. So they're driving down the road and they hear me come on, right? And coming up next, Kerr Smith, right? Okay. So now, is there, what do you think? They have their closet things that they're doing, right? They're listening to Coast at night and having a good time. It's one of those things that people do and don't talk about. But do you think that there's the possibility of a month from now where you're up for a gig and they go, man, isn't Kerr was just on Coast to Coast, right? Is there a possibility, or when you're out of the closet, you don't care about that anymore?
I'm hoping that those people that are listening going, Kerr Smith was just on Coast to Coast. Why don't we cast him in this great new sci-fi movie we have? That would be fantastic.
Now that's the attitude. Yeah, that's the attitude.
That's what, that would be nice because, in my career, I've done a lot of supernatural kind of stuff, but I haven't done a lot of science fiction stuff. I just want to do that. That's where my interest lies. And, I think it'd be super fun.
Yeah. Let's write it together. Let's just do it. So now, okay. So all of this is now. We're in the now. What were your parents like? Okay, were they open-minded? Did they ever have a sighting that they talked about? Did they Ouija boards in the house? What was that like?
Well, yeah, my parents are very open-minded. My dad actually was very interested in UFOs at an earlier age. I think not as much, this day and age, but I think he was, part of MUFON and things like that. Full support. My dad and I have these conversations all the time. I actually got him to read The Law of One about, I think it was last year, which he enjoyed. We have conversations about cabal and the deep state all the time.
Your dad was a MUFON member.
I think he said he did join at one point. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you ever see anything, I'm talking about like prior to Dawson's Creek, that all the way back to year zero. Did you have any strange sightings or anything like that?
I have never had a strange sighting. I've never seen a UFO, and it would be nice. As much as I believe, it would be nice to have some physical evidence for me. I've had some things happen in my life that are interesting. It's not a sighting, but I would call them catalytic events throughout my life that steer your life in a certain way. I wouldn't say they're ET-esque in any way. I did have this weird thing that I actually thought about just recently is when I was a kid, I'm really young, 5, 6 years old. I remember going to my dad going, Dad, I've got an imaginary friend. And he goes, well, what is it? Who is it? And I called it a red dot. I don't know what this means, but it's like I had an imaginary friend that was kind of like a red orb. And like a glowing orb. And I don't remember if I was actually seeing it, if it was completely in my imagination. Like I said, I was really young, but this is a memory that I have that I just haven't been able to figure it out.
Wow.
Exactly.
See, you've stopped me in my tracks. Wow, that was well done. That was well played. Have you talked to, when did you remember this?
Okay. You want to know when I remember this?
Today.
4 hours ago at the gym.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is why you need to go back to your parents. You go, do you remember me talking about my imaginary friend? Because they would remember and have that conversation. That's really, really cool. Maybe you said something to them that you don't remember now. You know, it came in from my window. It was late at night. You know, whatever it could be. But you should go talk to your parents about that. What's strange? Yeah. What's strange for me is I didn't do the imaginary friend thing. I don't remember any of that. I've heard of the stories, I don't have that. And to the best of my memory, neither did our daughters. And I wanted it. I wanted one of my daughters to come in and go, hey, hanging out with my imaginary friend. You want to come drink tea with us? I never had that. Wait a
minute, you don't drink tea. You don't drink tea. It's only coffee.
Oh man, we used to. My funnest things when our kids were growing up was doing that. Was doing breakfast in the morning and hanging out, with the doll in the chair and eating breakfast with it. I loved it, man. Absolutely loved it. So now the epiphany, though. So now, without having a sighting. And wanting, and we'll arrange that, by the way, after the show tonight. Strange lights out of the window, you know why. But the diving into the research, because you know your stuff now, right? You know your stuff. What caused that to go in feet first?
It wasn't all at once, but I'd say what happened. The turning event for me was I think around 16 years old, and my parents took my sister and I to this. It was like a Christian speaker kind of thing, outdoor venue, bleachers, couple thousand people, open air. Really weird night. It was cloud. It looked like it was pouring everywhere, but right on the stadium there was a hole in the clouds, and it just was really a neat feeling. So anyway, this guy's down there talking, and my sister and I didn't want to be there. I was raised Methodist, and we went to church every Sunday. But man, you had to beat me with a stick to get out of bed on Sundays. All I remember is my dad running into the room every Sunday, rise and shine, up and at 'em. I mean, to this day, I can't stand those words. But so we're listening to this guy, and he says, come down on stage and just hang out, and we'll do a prayer, or just come down here as a group, kind of meditation, consciousness thing. And this isn't like me, but I jumped the railing. We were sitting all the way up in the bleachers. I jumped the railing. I said, I'm going down. My sister looked at me. My sister was scared to death. My parents looked at me like, what are you doing? This is not like you. And I walked down there and I joined these people. Now, it wasn't really the event that's important, but it was the result of that event that got me thinking and asking questions of why don't I feel like I am being told the truth? Why do I feel like I'm in, some kind of matrix or in some kind of play? Something just wasn't right to me. It wasn't resonating. So it was then that I went on this lifelong search to figure out what it was. And of course, it started with religion. I quickly realized that it was more than that. It was about spirituality and the new energies, and we could talk about that we're moving into now. Mm-hmm. And then a couple years after doing some research on that, ET started popping up a lot, and I already had an interest in that. Huge sci-fi fan, and I realized that there is a very close connection between extraterrestrial, non-terrestrial beings, and the spiritual path that we're all on, and especially now, what is really happening after 2012, and we're moving into this new area of our galaxy. It's pretty amazing. I mean, you can feel it. I know you can, Jimmy. There's just this crazy energy, and people are literally waking up. And I guarantee you the UFO community is going to get massive.
And it's huge. Yeah. And the internet, and it sounds so juvenile to say, but it's a fact. The internet has enabled anybody with any interest in anything to communicate with like-minded individuals all over the globe. And it sounds obvious and fundamental. But whatever your interest is, whether it's yo-yos or building models or racing cars or sports or ET or politics, whatever movie, whatever it is, there are probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people just like you, but you couldn't communicate with them before, right? So now you can connect with anybody at any given moment. The the UFO community has always been there, but now the sharing of information and this spider web of individuals around the world, it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and the information is there, and you are able to communicate with them. So I agree with you.
You're 100% correct. And the interesting analogy there is that the internet really is a kind of technological global consciousness. Do you know what I mean?
Yep,
where we
connected.
are sharing, and you can just tap into this and get the information that you want. And it's just it's an incredible tool. It really is.
You know, when they say the internet, you know, the number one search term, whatever it is, right? Porn, free porn, right? In Google. You know what? I bet you number 2, UFO.
Yeah, there you go.
When I first signed on, I've told the story a million times, but it's absolutely factual. I finally, you know, this is back in 94, 95, AOL 1.0. My first search, UFO pics. That was
kidding.
it. That was my first search. That's my first thing. I didn't do the porn. Did not. Nope, man. Went straight to UFO pics. And that's what I did. Now, and this is the other strange thing for me, and I'm sure it's the same for you, is that you have this general interest in UFOs, but you don't talk to your friends about it. Maybe not even your wife, you know, or your family. But you are collecting books, right? You're collecting videos. You've got your search things. You got your favorite websites. Right? Did you go all in like that?
I did. I went in all in a long time ago. And actually, my wife is, you know, one of the reasons I married her is because she very much believes this stuff too, and she loves listening to me talk about it. She's interested. My family too. Now, in terms of friends, yeah, it's tough. I only have a couple of friends that really understand this part of me. So
you and your wife on your first date, you guys are sitting down, and did she say like, okay, we got to talk, you know, you're really nice, you're really cute, I was abducted, right? Was it like that?
I didn't go all in right away. What I did was we were out on a hike in the Santa Monica Mountains, and you know, as usual, the sky was striped, and I said, you know, I can't believe they're chemtrailing today. And she looked at me and she goes, yeah, you're right. It's disgusting. I knew I had a winner.
Somebody, I saw this meme the other day. If your significant other talks to you about aliens, they're a keeper. You know, I was just like, it's just so funny. All right, let's take a break right here, and we'll pick this up right when we come back. Our guest tonight, actor Kerr Smith. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Kerr's website, KerrSmith.net, is right there. The links are at JimmyChurchRadio.com. You can also follow Kerr on Twitter at actor Kerr Smith. This is Fade to Black. More with Kerr after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly ancient life oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go Beckley Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest, actor Kerr Smith. And Friday night, over at Coast, Kerr is going to join me live in the studio over there at the Coast Studios. So it's a full week of Kerr Smith. Kerr, when you're out of the closet, man, you're out. You're out.
Yeah, you said this would be getting shot out of a canyon. So,
no,
here we go.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff, and this is what I trip on. And for you, it's a very direct question. We've just come off of this fake news thing, and for the entire planet, conspiracy is something that was for the strange group, right? And we have been warning them, right? We have been warning them that of our own reality. They got the reality check, and as it turns out, you and I and our community are the sane ones, right? We can deal with it. We've known about this, but as this world, this matrix starts to come in where our own reality is something that we need to question, not parts of it, all of it. And as you work and you drive around and you are confronted with this, how do you deal with it?
Well, I mean, you said it, brother. I mean, you've got to question, right? If you don't make the question, then how do you tell somebody that is born into a box, okay? And that box is so big that it is all that you know, it is your entire reality. How do you tell somebody that, you know what, man, there's a lot of stuff in this box that just isn't right? Big things. like the food that you're eating, the healthcare system, the banking system, the government itself. You got the whole cabal and deep state thing. I mean, and not only that, you're being lied to about your entire history. So if you don't have the desire to ask those questions and to do the research that, all of us have, people just don't buy it. And they just don't buy it.
They don't. And then the answer to somebody that is so status quo, right, that is so into the system, they'll look at you and go, well, so what? Right? So what? Yeah. So I've been lied to with education and the banking system and everything. But you know what? I like my NFL team, and I go to work every day, and I come home, and that's good enough. If all of this is one big lie, so what? What does it do to me?
And people are happy with that. There are a lot of people that are happy with that, and it's a shame. I don't know. I think it's part of our job to just put the word out there, the real information, and whoever wants to grab hold of it, grabs hold of it. For you, because you're in the entertainment industry, this reality of news and how we get it and where the news comes from, that the news is reporting, right? It all has to go back to a source. Do you even watch the news now? Where do you go for that? No, my wife and I stopped watching the news a long time ago, just because we knew that it's a bunch of the TV. There's a lot of stuff on the TV that it's almost like mind control. You're just being told whatever they want you to know. I mean, that's the basic premise, really. You really got to get on the internet, and you got to find the truth yourself. You got to get to some of the the grassroots media. Channels like Gaia is a great example to go to, and TV wise, and really get some great information, some awakening kind of information, rather than just sitting there in front of the television and watching the evening news as a drone. It's just, I don't get it.
I don't either. And there seems to be lately this trend. It started, it's always been there. I shouldn't say it started with the X-Files, because, you can go back to science fiction series on TV, going back to the origination of television. But lately, and especially this last 2 or 3 years, with Netflix and with Amazon and a la carte programming now, there is a lot out there about alternate realities, about time travel, UFOs, singularity, AI, AR. Is there a message here that they are trying to convey to the masses?
Well, what do you think? I think so. Yeah. I mean, the content that's out there, that's increasingly, towards information that we really kind of need to know. It's the stuff, it's the stuff about our true history, and it's the stuff about, becoming more conscious and who you really are. And I love it. Like history and the Sci-Fi Channel and Nat Geo. I mean, those channels the program they're putting out right now is fantastic. It really is great. I mean, you watch a lot of that stuff. I mean, like something as obvious as Ancient Aliens. I mean, to me, that is a fantastic show. I love it. I watch it all the time. It's incredibly informative. And I think that is a show like that plays a huge part in waking people up to what's really going on around here.
One of the things that I trip on, and I can't wait to hear your answer on this, when you look at, some of these shows, like, we just finished Altered Carbon, right? And that's just such a heavy show.
How is that? I watched one show of that a couple weeks ago, because I'm like you, I'm a binge watcher.
Right.
And I haven't gotten totally into it yet, but is it good?
Oh, man. And see, this is back to exactly what I was talking about. When you have things like time travel or alternative reality, and in Altered Carbon's case, it's swapping consciousness in between bodies, right? So you can technically live forever. Your consciousness is put on a disc. The disc, it's called a stack, and it's just a disc, and that plugs into the back of your neck, right? Surgical implant, and you don't know, man. The personality's the same, but you can go from Caucasian to Asian to black, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, and just live forever. Now, that part of it is something that our community has talked about for a long time. But these writers, these story editors, story writers, the content creators are obviously doing heavy research. Look at Chris Carter and what he does with, or Twin Peaks, for example. You can go on and on where this research is complete. They are obviously listening to shows like Fade to Black. They are into the community. They have infiltrated us because the content is spot on. And it was something that our community only talked about. Now it's everywhere for consumption.
You're right. I mean, a lot of these producers are obviously ufologists. Look at Stargate. That's another great example.
Yes.
That thing is just peppered with information that we read about every day. It's just amazing. All the Egyptian references and all the different names that just keep popping up everywhere. I mean, I guess these guys, like you said earlier, just these producers of these shows are in the community.
And when when we talk about the realities of like the Matrix, and which had a huge influence on so many people inside in the community and out, and myself included, and I'm sure you're too. But now the Matrix is like a mainstream scientific foundation and theory, right? That we're living in, we're living in a holographic world, that this is all ones and zeros, and we're living in the Matrix. That's an example of Hollywood, science fiction film, full on mainstream now.
Well, that's the box I'm talking about, the reality box. That if you're not aware that you're in that box, it's your reality. You know what I mean? That movie to me is genius. Every time I talk about it, I'm like, the spiritual messages in that movie are incredible. And I'll be talking to a friend, and they'll be like, "What are you talking about? Spiritual references in the movie?" I'm like, come on, man. I mean, don't you know what it is that they're saying? People just, I don't know. It's just a lot of people that don't understand. Oh, yeah, Matrix, great sci-fi movie. It's so much more than that. So much more.
When you go back and you watch it again and again, which I do all the time, and I still pick up on little things here and there, and I enjoy that part of it. But for me, it's a scary gut check. It's a very, very scary. I can't eat a piece of steak. When I think of Palatiano, when he says, I see the red meat, and I know that it's juicy. The Matrix tells me that it's going to taste good. And now when I eat a piece of steak, I think of that movie.
It's not bad, man. It's not a bad. It's not. You did a pretty good job there.
It's hilarious. But now when we have, all of Silicon Valley talking in these terms, that, this altered reality, this part, this ones and zeros, it could be real. And then you have that whole reality check thing. You don't want, I don't know if we really want this to be true. We talk about it, but now we've talked about it so much that you're forcing that reality. We're changing our own reality.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to be awake or do you not want to be? Is it more comfortable to not know what's really going on? Yeah. To enjoy that steak rather than knowing that it's just ones and zeros.
Oh man. Yeah. The religious aspect, I want to go back to this. You talked about your Methodist upbringing, and then you mentioned ancient aliens. It's very strange that these two are blending together. As you look back in history, do you see religion as ET based?
I do. It's a touchy subject. You know, for me, I don't consider myself a religious person at all. I'm very much a spiritual person, and there's a very big difference there. But yeah, I mean, if you look at the Bible, it's just littered with ET references. I mean, they're just all over the place.
Is there anything wrong with thinking that way?
I don't think so. I mean, if you talk to somebody that's really religious, this would be considered blasphemy. But I mean, if you even take, you know, a lot of the quotes that Jesus was talking about, I mean, you know, I think his message was kind of misinterpreted. You know what I mean? I mean, he was saying things like, you know, you are, did I not say that, you know, ye are gods and you know that? I mean, I think he literally said that. And what he's saying is, you're not like the big cheese, but you're certainly a part of the big cheese. And you're gonna figure that out by going inside of you, and instead of looking somewhere else for it. You know, when we go on a search, the first thing we all do is we start looking everywhere else. But really, the answers are inside of you. And when you start to realize that, and you get into a solid meditation practice, which really helps, which is why I bring it up, you know, you'll start to realize that you really are a piece of this greater energy. And I personally, I don't, you know, God, whatever you want to call it, universal consciousness. Infinite creator, there's a billion names for it. We all know them. It doesn't really matter because we're all talking about the same thing. And God is in everything, including us. And that is really part of what this whole, you know, conscious awakening is figuring out your part in this.
If we look back and say, which is what Ancient Aliens does in a large part, that the communication, whether it's Moses or any ancient Egyptian, or, you know, that the information came from the heavens, right? The information came from up there and it came down here. And we make that ET connection today and go, hey, well, you know, that's kind of obvious, right? But let's flip it around. And you're talking to a religious person today, Kerr. And if God came down today and spoke to us in a big booming voice from the clouds, that's E.T. He came from space, man. You know, that's what is wrong with that. And speaking to somebody with a religious background in that fashion, because it would be the same thing.
Look, Jimmy, you're preaching to the choir, no pun intended, but yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, it is ET. And, you know, in our past, there have been a lot of extraterrestrials that have claimed to be, you know, gods. We all know that. And I think they've been mistakenly accepted as that in the past. And that's, you know, that's part of the problem too. But yeah, man, I mean, it could be anything. Anybody could come down from the skies and it's going to be God. But I think I'm hoping that as a species that we are moving past that and we can identify and say, okay, now wait a minute. God doesn't need to come down a spacecraft. He doesn't need to walk through a portal. You know what I mean? He's a lot bigger than that. And I think once we realize that, you know, he's in everything and we are very much a part of that, I think we're going to accept ETs and for what they are a lot easier. It'll make a lot more sense.
Yeah, totally. And when I went through that transformation, there was one thing that blew my mind, and it's one of those things, you know, probably smoking weed early in the morning and
early in the morning.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the best time. So, because it lasts all day, is, you know, that realization. I think I read it, and then somebody said it to me, and then it soaked in, and I had to walk around with this thought for about 6 months. It was that kind of epiphany, which is every atom, everything in your body, Kerr, every atom in your body was created by an explosion, an exploding star 10 billion years ago. Now, you stop and you think about it. Nothing is original about you. There's nothing original. It came from out there. All the atoms that are everywhere came from a single point, and there was an explosion, and then boom, and here we are. And that includes rocks and water and animals and things, gold, whatever you want to point at. it all came from an explosion, and that you are a star being. You know, and you stop, and it messed with me. When you started to get those kinds of realizations, did you walk around in that trance?
Absolutely. And, you know, what you said there, I mean, what does that tell you? It tells you that we are all one thing. We came from one thing, you know, and literally, you know, metaphysically and literally. For me, this all goes back to the law of one.
Right.
And to answer your question, when I first was introduced to that material, and, you know, granted, it is a tough read. It is something that you need to study big time in order to understand. And I know you've probably talked to Dave Wilcock about this a billion times, and he's a lot more versed than I am. But when I first read that material, I literally was walking around in a daze for weeks. It completely changed my life because it was the first time that I had ever read a piece of material, and I had read pretty much everything. I mean, if you want to stick with channel material, you know, Seth books, great books, you know, Course in Miracles, you know, the Abraham Hicks stuff. But Law 1 for me, when I read that, it pretty much answered every question that I had. It resonated me to such a degree that I was like, oh my God, this is actually what is going on here. And that was the answer to the question that I had back when I was 16 at that Christian speaking event.
Right.
That's how long it took. Now, granted, I took my 20s off for the most part and was a, 20-year-old, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't do a ton of research in my 20s. But for me, that was a catalyst in my life, for sure. It changed my life.
I had two things that were pretty dramatic, exactly as you are saying right now. One was Billy Meyer and his coffee table book back in the early 80s of his UFO pictures. That freaked me out. Found out later it was all a hoax, but that doesn't change what it did for me because it caused a life's journey. And right around that same time, 84, somebody gives me a book about the Catholic Church. Now, about it being a fraud. There were two things in the book that changed me. One of them was that the 10 Commandments, the Catholic Church changed the 10 Commandments, took one out, took another commandment, split it into two, so they still had 10 Commandments. And I was like, now, not that big of a deal on the surface, but what it did to me was say, wait a minute, you can't change the Bible. Right?
They did that too.
Right. It was like, you can't do that. So I went back and checked and saw, I'm looking at different versions of the Bible, and certainly now has nothing to do with religion. What it had to do with me, like Billy Meyer, was being lied to. That's what flipped me out. That our reality was not what we are being told. There is something else fundamentally going on. And the Catholic Church being as big as it was, for me, I thought, man, there are billions of people on this planet walking around believing a lie. That was the epiphany. Had nothing to do with the Catholic religion. I didn't shut the door on the Vatican. But that epiphany, like you're referring to right now, when you go through that, then you start to question your own reality. All of it.
Yep. And here's the trick, Jimmy, because we know we all do this. In the beginning, when you first come into this information and you're introduced to it, the first emotion that arises is, oh my gosh, I've been lied to. And you get angry. And what happens when you get angry? Well, you just give the powers that be exactly what they want, because we all know the hierarchy of the cabal, and we all know that this is really about fear, generating that emotion, and collecting that loosh at the top ends, with the Dracos and stuff like that. So they win initially, but if you continue through that path of research and figuring things out, then you say, okay, now wait a minute. I don't need to be angry about this anymore, because I now realize that this just benefits them and not me. You keep searching, and then you come to an acceptance of that, and you go, okay, what am I going to do about this? Like, how can I get out there and just help people come into this information, knowing that they're going to get angry out of the gate, but help them through that phase and get into what really matters, which is about, ascending and becoming more conscious and moving into this fourth density that we're now experiencing with Mother Earth. That's the whole point here. But I'm really afraid with the whole disclosure thing that I really think is going to happen in the next 5 years. And, this whole, everything that Corey Goode is saying to me is incredible. I think they're going to start with Antarctica. But, when this happens, people are going to get angry, really angry. And it's going to cause more problems than we have now. But we've got to get through that as a species. And that's the part that really scares me. And I don't know. I'm not one of those guys that is sure that full disclosure is the best way to go. We might need to do this in parts. What do you think?
Well, no, I was going to ask you why. We're going to head towards a break here. So let me ask you that. Why do you think it would be in parts?
Well, because I think people are really going to freak out. I think we're going to cause more problems possibly than we have now because, like I said, people are going to get angry. But if we bring it out in phases, it allows people to adjust to one piece of information, and then another, 6 months go by, a year. Oh, by the way, forget about the ancient aliens in Antarctica. We've got a secret space program. They digest as that, and now they've got something else to digest. I think that's really the smart way to do it, but who knows what's going to happen?
Well, it's sort of going on now, isn't it? With exoplanets and FSBs and fast radio burst and certainly what Tom DeLonge did with TTSA, that has a part to do with it too as well. Where are you referring to like the drip, 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 methodology?
I'm referring to the drip, drip, but I think the drips are bigger. It's like you turn the faucet on for a little bit and shut it off. You turn it on and shut it off.
Oh,
bigger pieces of information.
And and when the big one comes, it's not going to matter.
In terms of, what do you mean not matter?
The public, anarchy in the streets. When the big, the mile-wide, UFO flies over, Ventura Boulevard.
I'm saying if that happens and they disclose, the everything that's going on in Antarctica and the secret space program and Mars and whatever else, the alliances, everything at once. That's a lot of information. It's a lot of things for people to take in. A lot of people that haven't even accepted that they're being lied to yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
It's like you're in this little box, and all of a sudden that box is completely destroyed. All of your beliefs, a lot of which are religious, go out the window. I don't know. It scares me.
Yeah, it's interesting. And when we come back from the break, I'm digesting what you have just referenced in the last 10 minutes. You've referenced Loosh, Corey Goode, Secret Space Program, Law of One, alternate realities, The Matrix. You are certainly well-researched in all of these subjects. So we're going to take some of this apart. But when we come back, we got to do a little, so I'm going to prep you for this. We got to do a little Mandela effect and maybe some flat earth too as well, just for good measure. So are you down?
I'm down.
That's what I'm talking about. Kerr Smith is our guest tonight. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Kerr at actor Kerr Smith. Fade to Black. We'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Tappy.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, actor Kerr Smith, fully awake. Man, what a great conversation. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Kerr at actor Kerr Smith. He's right there on Twitter. Now, Kerr, a couple of things have gone down too in the last year, and one is the Mandela effect. And I think that there is something going on. Millions of people don't have flawed memories, or maybe they do. That would affect a reality. What do you think is going on with the Mandela effect, and have you experienced it yourself personally?
Well, my memory increasingly gets worse every year, but I don't know if it's a Mandela effect.
Good answer.
I don't know. I mean, it's probably maybe that's some kind of subliminal. It's like a subliminal advertising to make you think one thing or forget something. It could be a type of mind control to some degree. Would you agree with?
Do you think there's a couple of possibilities here? One could be people from the future, time travelers coming back and altering our past, and we're catching them at it. It could be that. It could be the blending of a couple of parallel worlds where things are overlapping and we're catching those blips in the matrix, right? It could be that.
Right.
It could be faulty memory. It could be all of the above. I do think that there is something strange going on, though, where everybody's memories are not what they seem to be. and we're catching that. So I'm not so sure about what's going on.
I personally feel that it is probably some kind of technology that's being used, through the cell phones, because God knows we all have them, the television set, whatever electric device you have in your home. You're probably getting hit with some kind of technology that is causing this, possibly. For what reason? I don't know, because if we're really being affected by it, these little things that are coming up, like not remembering the name of a movie or the line in a movie correctly, I mean, that's kind of minor. What if it's something that's really, really important that we've just it's been erased from our memories? What if it's something like that?
Well, when you look at something as basic as Sex in the City.
Right.
Right? Or is it Sex and the City?
Well, and then, I don't even know, to be honest with you, but my mind goes towards Sex in the City because I generally want to have sex in the city.
Right, not on the sidewalk.
Right,
which makes sense. And then Rita, she was looking at the Russian translations of the series, as it goes through international distribution. And the Russian translation is Sex in the City.
In the city. Okay.
Right. And now, how could that mistake happen? It's obvious. It's either on or in. It's two different words, and you're translating it. You're creating the graphics. You're generating all of this. And you see that, and it just adds to the confusion. And again, this is just one small little thing out there in and of itself. It means nothing. It's just an accident. But you do that all across the board, going back to, things like Forrest Gump and the Academy Awards. That was a pretty disturbing thing to go through. And it's Hollywood, and maybe we just made these mistakes, but we make them all over the place. So what is it?
Or maybe we're just confused. I mean, my wife catches me all the time saying things that are just ridiculous. Like, I'll say something, I'll get my sayings mixed up, and I won't even realize it. I'll say something stupid like, that's like calling that can of worms black. Like those two, calling the pot black, calling the cat. See, I can't even figure it out now. That's like the pot calling the kettle black and opening that can of worms. So I get the two phrases confused and mix them up. Not intentionally, and I won't even be aware of it. So it's kind of the same thing. Really, don't you think?
Well, it's yes, because I wanted to talk about the flat Earth. And this is another example of the influence that we have, not only with the internet, but our own belief system. And the flat Earth, as crazy and absurd as that may sound, it caught on, and it caught on all the way to the mainstream, where you had people actually talking about this on syndicated talk shows on networks, and it's just like, how did we get here? Wait a minute, we need to stop. People died to prove that the Earth was round for us, right? Scientists were burned at the stake trying to prove this. And died for us. We got it. We got the round Earth, and now you want to go back, and you want to say that everything that the long road to get here is now all wrong. How did flat Earth catch on?
I have no idea. I mean, I honestly don't understand that concept at all. How you can think that this place is flat? I mean, it doesn't. Physics-wise, it makes no sense at all. I mean, somebody that says the Earth is flat, I just want to say, you know what? Start walking in one direction, and you just let me know when you end up in the same spot, and then we'll talk. I mean, what do you say to that?
Have you gone and looked at any of the amazing flat Earth videos that are going to change your reality? Have you looked at any of those?
Jimmy, the concept is so absurdly ridiculous to me. I have not researched it at all. I've just dismissed it.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. And this is what I ask of all flat earthers, okay, to seriously stop and understand what you are saying, because everybody on the planet is in on the conspiracy except for you. Right?
That's pretty, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, everybody, every teacher, every pilot, every firefighter, every soldier, every astronaut, every politician and teacher and friend, family, everybody that you know is in on it except for you.
Yeah. And the guys on the ISS that go around the globe 100 times a day, yeah, they're in on it too.
Well, then you stop and you go, well, wait a minute, I guess that could be true.
So the ISS, it just goes east for a little bit, and then it'll turn around and it'll go west, because that makes sense. We'll just keep going, striping back and forth on the flat Earth.
Yeah, and the sun is in on it. Oh man, now, okay. So now we talk about all these bright people. We talk about those that are awakened and conscious and health and anti-pharma and this and science. You know, that thing that is us. What do you, when we talk about the secret space program, what do you think about the concept of a breakaway civilization? Now, one day, everybody wakes up that is in the status quo, right, in the bubble, in the machine, and then all of us bright people are gone. Right? We leave this planet to them.
I think that there is a part of the civilization, that has broken away already, a long time ago. I think it's happening, and I think we have all this technology. I think it's being kept from us. I think, a lot of these UFOs, the smaller disc-shaped craft are actually ours, and we've had them for a long time. I think it's just going to be, it's all going to start to come out. It's all going to be part of disclosure. And whether it happens all at once or in, little bits is yet to be seen.
Would you do it?
Would I?
Would you break away?
Well, I have to ask my wife on that one.
You have to. I've said the same thing. I have to consult with Rita on that, whether we would break away or not. And for us, I think the basic answers are, what's the food going to be like? Let's make sure that.
Yeah. Well, my heart says, yeah, man, that would be such a ride, to be able to experience that in this lifetime. But then you got to consider things like, I remember a story that Corey Good was talking about one time where, they recruit these intelligent families where there's a husband and a wife and they're very good in their respective fields of whatever it is they do. And they take their family and they show them pictures of an underground facility that looks pretty sweet, looks like a great place to live. The food is good. They don't have tea. It's all coffee. So you like that.
Yeah.
And then they agree to it, and they take them to, this one story was about Mars, working on Mars. They take them to Mars, and it's not what they said. They're actually, pretty much slaves. They're stuck there. They do what they're told for the rest of their lives. There's no way to get back. I mean, you're on Mars.
Right.
So something like that scares me too. How do you know? Because with all the dishonesty that's been happening over the thousands of years, how do you know? If you're hey, let's go to breakaway society. Great, I'm in. Now I'm a slave on Mars.
Well, yeah. When we talk about a society, and I want to stay right here on this thought. When you just went, I'll tell the audience this. Kerr showed up at the Conscious Life Expo, and it was his third expo. This wasn't his first one, but I took him around and introduced him to a bunch of people. But you also, Kerr, are in the middle of a pretty huge crowd, right? We're talking about 10,000 people probably at that moment was there when you were there. Mm-hmm. That is a society, right? That is indicative of what is going on out there. How cool is that? Where you can say or think anything that you want, and people are you are not going to get rejected or laughed at or ridiculed. You are able to do just what you are wanting to do, right? You're not pressured.
That's why I go to the expo, because you're there with like-minded people and you can speak your mind. And yeah, it's very comforting. and freeing. And not only that, there's just a ton of information that you can experience there and learn and meet cool people like yourself. And for me, it's just an incredible experience. So you're right. I mean, in a way, it is a breakaway society.
It is. And now when, like I said, let's stay right here for a second. When you are around that and you are able to experience that, with those out there that want evidence, right, outside of our community that want, or inside of our community, from Corey Good or from abductees or from experiencers, or they want evidence, they want documents, they want a reptilian T-shirt from the Andromeda galaxy, whatever. They want some proof. For you, how far do you push that? Because proof is pretty hard to come by.
For me, I do my best to read the person. I mean, I just try and, open my mind, open my heart as best as I can. And it's really about whether or not I feel the person is being genuine. In a case, since we're talking about Corey Good, I feel that he is. His stories are always the same. It's not like he's missing information or changing things up. And I genuinely feel like he's just being honest. He just seems like an honest person to me. So for me, that is enough. What's interesting is in order to really take this in belief, it's kind of like just having faith, which goes back to the religious conversation we were having earlier. I mean, if someone's able to put their faith in God, how hard is it to put your faith in ETs?
One of the things about Corey that it kind of freaks me out. I've done enough events with him, right? And and when he takes questions from the audience, taking questions for me, it's one point source, right? It's one point source. Right. And my questions are going to be from a certain mindset. But when you line up and I'm walking around the audience with a microphone and taking questions from the audience from all around the world, now we're talking about different mindsets, different subjects, different interests. So it's not no longer a singular point source for me. And to have him answer questions all over the place, I mean, from different, and his answers are right there and where they need to be. And I step back and I say to myself, if it's BS, how is he pulling that off? Right. If it's BS, where's the reference library coming from? His access to his own personal hard drive is rapid fire. Yeah. So how much research and reading did he do his entire life? Memory, if it's BS, right? If it's BS, then why? I mean, why are there being attempts on his life? Well, but yes, there's that part. But the only way to access that kind of accuracy is from a point of experience and reality. That's my point.
I mean, coming from an acting standpoint, if I wanted to make up a story like that and be as accurate as he is in giving his information every time, and you're right, when you're in a situation like that where you're not controlling the questioning, they're coming from all these different personalities, anything can happen. And that's a true test of somebody if they're telling the truth. I've been in situations like that as an actor, not as a ufologist, but it's a difficult situation. You got to be thinking quick. And to get that information the same every time, that means he's telling the truth. But as an actor, I would literally have to memorize that entire story of his, which is a lifetime. Apparently, according to him, it's almost 3 lifetimes because he keeps going, he keeps erasing his mind and going back like 320 and out or whatever he calls it.
Right.
I mean, it's an enormous amount of information. I just don't think that he's lying.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
As an actor, We know that there's different types of acting, method acting, and so forth, and there's stage acting, and there's the memory that you have to commit to a script. Some directors want it word for word. You're not allowed to drift, right? Some directors want you to go off and improvise. When you go into the full improvised mode, you can only take it so far before it stumbles and fall apart. Right? And that's it. And then you just kind of reset and you pull it back together and you continue. If Corey is lying and improvising all of this, eventually, not over time, I'm talking about in a half an hour, right? He would stumble. Right?
Yeah, he would.
As an actor, when you're improvising, how far can you take it before it falls apart and you laugh? Right.
Well, Jimmy, that's a great point. Good thing to bring up. I mean, as an actor, we do improv a lot, and if you ever watch the bloopers in a movie or something like that, and a lot of times they'll put those improvisational takes in there that didn't make the cut because they always end in laughter or somebody cursing or something like that because it's gone too far and they've given up and they're just it's gone.
It falls apart, right?
Falls apart, yeah.
Have you ever been to, I'm sure you have, do you remember Comedy Sports in Hollywood?
No.
It's an improvisational comedy troupe, and you go and it's audience participation where you are suggesting, they want a couple of words. Okay, cantaloupe and football, right? 2 words, boom, and they go and they improvise comedy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and it's good. They can pull it out for 2 or 3 minutes, and it's funny and it's hilarious, but they can't take it to 5, right?
No, they can't.
It doesn't go.
At least for me, the concentration that is required to stay in an improvisational mode is extremely exhausting. For me, I can't say that about it. There's comedians out there that are fantastic at it. They probably just do it naturally. But for me, it's incredibly mentally exhausting.
And so for you as an actor now, and this is your career, when you are watching like Corey or David up on stage, you were in the front row for them at Contact, or I almost said Contact in the Desert, at the Conscious Life Expo. Are you waiting? I do. I'll admit it. I'm waiting for the slip up. Are you doing the same thing?
Always. I mean, we're all researchers and, we, to an extent, we all analyze the facts. So, yeah, I want to make sure that the legitimacy is there.
You remember we were talking about Stargate, in the film Stargate with James Spader in the beginning where he's doing his lecture, right, at the hotel to the audience about Egypt, right, about the Great Pyramid. And somebody say, it's a full house, right, it's packed. Somebody stands up and says, okay, well, if the Egyptians didn't build the Great Pyramid, who did? And he says, well, I don't know. And everybody stands up and walks out. Right?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that to happen to Corey. I'm waiting for that to happen to anybody where they blow it, because if they do, the trust is gone. That they will stand up and walk out. It hasn't happened yet, has it?
No, I don't know. It hasn't happened.
And I want to actually stay on this for a second. Why is it that the UFO community that we're referencing here right now is waiting for that? They will jump on somebody the second they slip. Everybody's been through it, man. Richard Dolan's been through it. The list is long, where once you slip up, they pounce. Tom DeLonge is going through this right now. They are pouncing, right?
Yeah.
They're waiting for that. They support you, they prop you up, but the second you slip, it is brutal, man. It's like hyenas on a carcass in the middle of the desert.
The answer is very simple. This community demands truth. Period.
And if you blow it?
If you blow it, they're all over you. It's not to say that they're wrong or they're lying. It's everybody makes mistakes, but they're just very they're looking for, it's like you and me sitting at the expo. It's like, they're looking for a slip up because, they want truth. They want to make sure that this particular source of information is legitimate. And even if it means slipping up one time, people get crazy about that stuff. For me, no. I mean, if I was listening to Corey and he slipped up about something, I would look back and compare it to other things that he said, and before I really made a judgment about it, to see if it was really like a really important piece of information or it was just some stupid description. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and when those out there want to criticize the UFO community and call it dysfunctional because we're always, infighting and say, that's the thing. It's not dysfunction. We are our own police force. We are our own truth police, just like you said. And that's it. We really, really, really take care of our own here. And that's it. There is no room for that because we are constantly in defense of ourselves, to the rest of the world. So that's it. We are our own police force.
Checks and balances.
Why can't the rest of the world operate that way?
I don't know.
It's really funny. And the same example. I don't know if you've done any acting when it comes to a courtroom scene, right? Courtroom drama.
You kidding me?
Yeah, right. And
I've played a lawyer so many times.
And the second somebody on the stand gets caught in a lie, they've done 20 truthful answers, 100 truthful answers, one. And then the case is thrown out, right? You can't do that, and it's the same thing in the UFO community. And so why not that be the case? You can't have it both ways.
You're on stage, man. If you're a whistleblower, you are on stage. It's just like acting. You can't mess up. I really respect people that come forward because it's a difficult position to be in, and not to mention a risky one, but I have a lot of respect for those people.
I do too, and I'll tell you why. There is no fame and fortune in the UFO community. And if you're a whistleblower and you come forward here, you're not doing it for fame, you're not doing it for money. That does not exist. What does happen is you are taking a big chance on your career, your family, your reputation, and everything else that comes with it. This is not whistleblower like Snowden. This is a whole nother kind of whistleblowing. And I do have a lot of respect for the people that do come forward.
Amen.
Let's take a break right here. This is Fade to Black. I almost lost track of the time. Fade to Black, our guest tonight is Kerr Smith. Amazing conversation. We're going to continue all of this when we come back. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Tonight, our guest, actor Kerr Smith, fully awakened, man. Fully awakened. Great conversation. I'm opening up the phone lines. 323-825-5045. I'm just going to open up that bank. 323-825-5045. Now, Kerr, I want to kind of have a little bit of fun here, and then I want to get into the healthy side of things and big pharma and food, which is something else that you're speaking about. The reality, though, for me, when it comes to, I'm bringing in some phone calls, so that's me not being able to do two things at one time. Is Steven Spielberg? Now you're in the biz. Steven certainly seems to he's trying to communicate a message, and he has been doing it now for 30, almost 40 years. When it comes to E.T., do you think he's been read in? What's Hollywood's consensus on this? What do you think?
I'll tell you what I think. I don't know Spielberg. I've been in his office, but I've never met him. Guys like him. Wait. What
do you mean you've been in his office, but he wasn't there? Were you poking around? Were you opening up his drawers?
No, I was fishing around his files and whatnot. No, I had a meeting over there for something or another. I can't remember, but it wasn't with him.
Over at Amblin?
Yeah, over at Amblin. That was on Universal Lot.
Okay.
So, here's what I think's going on. Guys like Spielberg and Lucas and even guys like, Roddenberry, I feel like film is one of the things that was given to us in terms of a technology, taking from a picture and moving it to a moving picture. It's kind of like, Corso in his book, what's it called? The Day After Roswell.
Right.
He talks about all this alien technology that was handed to us, things like, Kevlar and fiber optics and circuit boards. And what do you know? They find their way into our society somehow. Now, those are physical objects, but I feel like film, in fact, I've read it multiple places, that film was actually, planted into somebody's mind and was given to us as a mode of waking us up gradually. And look at all the things, look how it's influenced us over the last, what's it been, 60, 70 years now of film? I can't remember. I don't know, whatever. But look at the amount of influence that it's had, and who's to say that guys like Spielberg and Lucas and Roddenberry aren't being influenced themselves to write this kind of material. I mean, look at all the things that have come to fruition in Star Trek. Tricorders, cell phones, those glass pads they have, those are iPads. I mean, these things just keep happening. It just, you know what I mean? It just starts coming true. I mean, that's the way I see it. I think people are really being influenced with some kind of, I don't know, technology, telepathy, whatever you want to call it, by another race.
Right. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Jimmy, it's Paul from maybe snowy Southern Oregon. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Say hi to Kerr Smith.
Hey, Kurt Smith. I've got
How are you, man?
I'm doing great. I've got to toss this out on the whole Tom DeLonge, Pentagon video thing and all of that. Carol Rosen's a friend of mine. Rick Miller's a friend of mine. Rick goes with the alien thing, and Carol was the lady who was the assistant to Werner von Braun. And I got to tell you, I'm thinking that this is shaping up like the prelude to the kind of false flag that von Braun had told Carol would be coming.
Okay, so what side of it?
Well, the actually most of the sides of it, not Spielberg and all that may or may not be the case. I suspect that there are people with far better insights on that. It is interesting that a lot of these things certainly do seem to match what he's presenting. However, the Navy footage with the leak, the guy coming forward, the disinformation that DeLonge's team put together. The only person on there that I know and respect, and I don't know personally, is Lavenda out of that whole team. I've seen DeLonge drum. He's an insane drummer. But and his mom always said, don't date the drummer. But the bottom line is that I'm seeing bits and pieces of disinformation coming up in various media sources, and a build toward one of two things. Yes, it could be disclosure, and that'd be wonderful if it was disclosure. But I go back to what Carol has said, and what she's told me personally, and that is what von Braun said, and that is the next one will be a fake alien invasion, and this feels like it's building the ground and the support to it, to my gut.
Well, thank you for that, Paul. Kerr, what do you think? The fake alien invasion scenario, to have the planet focus on something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I've heard Dr. Greer talk about this. I think there might be something that is not completely truthful. It'll be a reveal of a lot of stuff that we're doing, but I think it might be made to look like some kind of alien landing. But in reality, I think it's really going to be us, or it's going to be something that obviously is completely staged, some kind of, theater production, or it could be some, like a hologram kind of thing that they were talking about. I don't know. It's probably going to be some kind of combination of truth and our own government.
There you go, Paul. Thank you for the phone call.
Hey, peace, brother.
Thank you. Great phone call right there. Let's stay on the phone. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? Say hi to Kerr.
Hey, Kerr. Jimmy, this is Tom from Dayton, Ohio.
Hi, Tom from Dayton, Ohio. What do you have for Kerr tonight?
Yeah, he was talking. Nice to talk to you, Kerr Smith. So you were talking earlier about the disclosure and whether it's going to be the partial disclosure or the time disclosure, and you had mentioned that you had had a feeling that you think the slow disclosure or rollout would be in the best interest. I used to think that way, and I just want to throw something at you, and you tell me how you feel about it. So this last episode on Gaia TV with Corey Good, he was talking about how they are pushing for the full disclosure, and that they do not want the partial disclosure or the slow rollout. And then he's also said in the past that through trauma, we find truth or we find healing. And I don't think, because when I originally thought about this slow disclosure and rolling it out, I was thinking about the people, the masses. Like, they can't handle it, there's going to be chaos, people are going to kill each other, all that. That was my original thought, and maybe that's where your head is at too. But without the full disclosure, we won't have that trauma, and therefore we may not learn anything. So now I'm kind of on board with this full disclosure, and I'd like your thoughts on that.
Great question, Tom. Kerr? Kerr? Did we lose Kerr? Oh, we lost Kerr. Tom, see how freaked out you got Kerr? Absolutely freaked him out. Hold on, let me see if I can get him back. Hold on for a second. Sure. This may... I heard it go click, and I wasn't sure what was going on there. But, okay, let's see. Kerr, do I have you back? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, see, Tom's question was so good, you fell over.
I lost Tom at... he was talking about the differences between full disclosure and partial disclosure towards the end there.
Yeah,
about, talking about the Guy episode.
Yeah, the question was... he thinks he's now going back from, drip, drip, which you were referring to, back to full disclosure, and that we could handle it.
Well, the trauma of dealing with it is actually what we need.
Yeah, exactly.
To get the healing from, like I was saying, I don't know exactly where I left off with you, Kerr, but Corey has stated that they're going for the full disclosure, and it makes sense to me now because he's also stated, and this is David Wilcock too saying this, that you heal and you learn from trauma. And Corey's talked about this with so many things, like he got food poisoning, and they didn't heal him, or he had back pain or knee pain, I can't remember which, and they wouldn't heal him because he needed to go through that trauma.
Well, and Tom, that aspect of things has been discussed many, 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 many times on the show. When we talk about an example would be why did we go through Hitler? Why do some serial killers live, but a 2-year-old, son or daughter gets cancer and dies? That's
is
part.
That applicable here?
Well,
when you think about full disclosure, it's going to be huge and chaotic, but have we not been programmed to be so sensitive to everything? I personally don't want to see people killing each other and fighting for food or whatever this is going to entail. But is it not necessary? Is that not a trauma that we need to have? Because on the other side of it, we will be better for having it.
Oh, Tom, I want Kerr's take on this, but this is my point. I'm going to flip it over on you. I'm going to go 180 degrees in the other direction. I think that if you really want to see this planet upset and killing each other and lawlessness and just absolute and just craziness, tell the world that we're alone in the universe. Tell them that. Now you don't have a reason to be good. You don't have a reason to take care of this planet. You don't have a reason to be nice. There's nothing to live for. That would be anarchy. You want to see people fighting over food? You want to see them burn this mother down, right? Tell them that. Because if you want to give a reason to live, a reason to take care of this planet, a reason to unite, a reason to go and explore and make for is that we are not alone in the universe, that we have brothers and sisters out there, and we need to. That would create harmony. You want to create anarchy?
I completely agree, but what's in question is how you tell the people. And I don't think it'll be as bad as I originally thought. I don't think we're going to be killing each other, but I do think there's going to be some kind of trauma there.
Well,
I think we have to go through it. I think we do.
I agree with you, Tom. Kerr, what do you think?
Well, Tom, I saw that Guy episode as well when Corey and David were talking about it, and yeah, I know the Alliance is pushing for full disclosure, and to be clear, I want full disclosure as well, me personally. But as a human species, it's times of trauma. It's like anytime we want to make a change, we have to push our society or push a circumstance to the biggest amount of trauma that we could possibly fathom. It's just the way we are as a species. We procrastinate to the very point. It's like with global warming or something like that. We let it get as bad as it can before we actually fix it. And sometimes it's too late. My only concern was from before is that it might be too large of a Band-Aid to rip off all at once. Partial disclosure, I think, is just as effective, but it allows people's psyches to adapt to this new information and digest it over time. If you take a look at all the benevolent alien races that have been helping us awaken throughout the years, look how long they've taken. A long, long time. They just didn't land and say, hey, man, we're here. Wake up. It's time to move into fourth density. Why? Because we'd freak out. That's why they take hundreds and thousands of years to gradually get us there. And the way that I feel right now, that seems to be working. So whether we go partial disclosure, my point is I think that it's all good. I personally would love to see full disclosure, but I do think it's going to cause some unneeded problems.
Thank you for the phone call, Tom. Great question.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Have a good night, both of you.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks, Tom.
And see, that is an example of how awake, our audience is. They really get it, and it's not so much about the big question about the flying saucers on the White House lawn. It's more concern for the big picture here. We pushed that, way out and beyond that. What's funny? Tanette just posted in Twitter. She goes, "Pull the plug already. It's only going to hurt for a second."
It's going to hurt for more than a second.
Yeah, but again, I think that is a very honest approach. Now, I before we do run out of time, and I could see us going into overtime here, but I did want to talk about health and what is going on with that too as well. And you've launched a new website, so I do want to talk about that for a second. Tell us about the company that you've got with your wife.
Well, yeah, Lisa and I, we started we are in the process of starting a new company called Terra Life Wellness, which is at terralifewellness.com, and you can grab it off of my site too, kerrsmith.net. And basically, it's a practice of a holistic approach to whole body healing. We feel that, we didn't get too much into it tonight. We ran out of time, but, with these new energies that the Earth is getting bathed in, this new section of the solar system the galaxy that we are in now that we're in Aquarius, it's changing the planet, and we need to move along with it, or there's going to be some serious problems. And I think a lot of people are going to have trouble moving into a higher vibrational rate, basically, a higher consciousness. And people are going to be stressed out. They're going to have anxiety. They're going to have all these issues. And Lisa and I thought, well, wouldn't it be a great idea if we helped people with this kind of stuff? So we started Terra Life Wellness, and it's not just a spiritual mentoring, and it's just overall wellness. I mean, our life is made up of a lot of components that need to be in line, or things don't work correctly. It's not just about food, but nutrition is part of this. So we're there to help with things like relationships, careers, spirituality, nutrition, and all those things. And we're going to be doing it, online, or it can be done in person if you're, in the LA area.
What about diet and supplements and stuff? And what do you do about that? I've been very public about my approach to things. I love to eat. I just eat well, right? I select the right meats. I select the right vegetables. I 100% organic on everything that we do. That goes from coffee to our steaks, we eat correctly. But we take supplements too as well, and CBDs. We do all of that. Do you take the same approach?
Exactly the same approach. I mean, you just described my kitchen. I eat only organic. My wife and I only eat organic. We go local for all vegetables. My meats are 100% grass-fed, grass-finished. I won't touch meat. It's tough when you go to a restaurant, but at home, I won't touch meat that isn't 100% grass-fed, grass-finished. And the terminology these days it's designed to get you to think that when you eat a cage-free egg, that you're eating something, that the visual that creates, it's a chicken running around in the yard. That's not the case. Cage-free means that they open the door to a huge area, an indoor area where there are thousands and thousands of chicken. If a chicken decides to run out and take a spin, go ahead. The opportunity's there. But how is a chicken from the far end going to get, you know what I mean? It's so ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So when you eat eggs, you got to eat pastured eggs.
Right.
Chickens that are actually running around the yard. Grass-fed, grass-finished, 100%. That's important. Meats. If you go fish, you have to go wild caught. You cannot eat farm-raised fish, period. And with vegetables, organic wasn't even a word in our grandparents' age, because all vegetables and fruits were organic. But we needed to make this new classification because the regular types of vegetables out in the supermarkets, their nutritional value is so much lower than organic food, not to mention they have all these pesticides and just crap in it. I mean, the crap that's in beef is just, it'll blow your mind.
Oh, it's just, it's nauseating. And I love it too as well. So yeah, we take such care on how and what we buy now. I do not even, as far as, we have a farmer's market next door. Can't always get everything that you need there all the time. But when we go to the market, it's only, high-end markets with high-end organic stuff. And first off, you taste the difference. That's the first thing. It just tastes wonderful. But now the thought of something that is genetically modified, that's not what God intended. Nature, it has built this planet on DNA strands that were not. It blows my mind. I cannot ingest genetically modified anything, and if you go off of that path, everything is GMO'd. Everything today is GMO'd. So how do you avoid that? I drink a lot of water now, and because hopefully that's not GMO'd, right? But that's the path that we have taken, and the route of supplements and everything else, it's made a huge change in our lives. I've got to take this phone call, Kerr. I have to. It's Scott.
I think we just listened to him go to the bathroom.
Yeah, Scott, what are you doing?
I was washing my hands, damn it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So
Scott, it sounded like you were going to the bathroom, man.
He probably was.
No, I wasn't. I was washing my hands. I'm still at work. I've got 10 employees here.
Well, okay. Hey, Scott, we don't need to talk about that. Let's talk about fun stuff.
Listen, Jimmy, I know my wife's listening, and I know Kerr's wife's listening, so I must try to sound sane as possible. You know, we went out to dinner one night, and we were up in Calabasas, and my wife and Lisa were talking, and Kerr and I were sitting, and I said, let's go get a drink at the bar. So we went up to the bar, and we're sitting there listening to these people talking. They were just like talking. And I said to Kerr, I said, this is like birds on a wire. I said, if they only knew what life was really about. And then we looked at each other, and from that split moment, something clicked in. And I said, are you an intuitive empath? We both just had this look at each other, and we talked until like about 1 o'clock at night. It was incredible. We talked about UFOs, the Anunnaki, and I was just blown away that this man that I've known for a couple of years never even talked to me about it once.
It's funny how that happens, you know, because we were talking about disclosure earlier. When everything went down on December 16th, we went over, Rita and I, I've got to make this quick before we hit this break, but Rita and I got together with our family. We never, okay, everybody knows what Rita and I do, okay? We don't talk UFOs. We don't talk conspiracies. We don't talk the Fed. We don't talk about the Anunnaki or Egypt. We just don't. When everything went down, we had a dinner party with the family, and there's like 15 or 20 of us over there. And the subject came up, not from me. And they talked UFOs and the alien presence for like 3 hours. Straight.
Wow.
And their knowledge, it was like they were coming out too. Their knowledge was mind-blowing. Not specifically, it wasn't about Travis Walton, but what it was about was what the Earth, what the planet, what the population would go through, and what everybody's thinking about this, and why the media is dealing with it like they are now, and that they, you know, it went on and on and on. Their interest was real. And it's wonderful when that happens. It blew my mind. It blew my mind. My own family, who you think you know so well, right? But there you go. Right. And it's cool when it happens, man.
So cool.
Well, Jimmy, you listen to a lot of... I was listening to Reed Summers today. And I was kind of blown away because he was pretty much like his dad, Marshall Summers. But as you listen to this perspective of the UFOs and what their agenda is in coming to the Earth, is we have a biological resource center for them to take over. This is scary because they're not really giving us, they're not telling you and I what they're here for. We don't know what they're here for. But I have a feeling they're not here to be our friends. Because you look at what they're doing, the abductions, the implantations, the DNA extractions. I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration as to why they're here.
Right.
And honestly, I'd like to get Kerr's input on this because I never really asked him about this. And Jimmy, I'd like to get your input on it also.
Well, we'll do that right after the break, Scott. And thank you, cool. Thank you for calling in, and thank you for the question, man. And we'll do that. And I'll tell everybody right now. It was Scott that introduced us to Kerr Smith. So I thank you for that, Scott. And we'll address this right after the break. I got to take a break. Thank you so much, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Take care, guys. Have fun. I love you guys.
Right back at you, Scott.
Right
calling. That's the guy that he works from the crack of dawn till after the show every single night. So let's take that break right here. And Kurt, I'm going to get you to hang on for a little bit of overtime. You down?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about. Kerr Smith is our guest. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Again, follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Kerr at actor Kerr Smith on Twitter. We'll be right. Stay with us.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night, you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy, spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional. Ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hey, can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at natureyouth.com. Natureyouth.com. The holidays are coming. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at natureyouth.com. That's natureyouth.com.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black, doing a little overtime with actor Kerr Smith. I want to thank him for not only the conversation tonight, but hanging out with all of us. And I've got some phone calls lined up too, Kerr. But let's go back to Scott's question, which he's referencing back to Marshall Summers when he was on the show with us, and that our planet is being prepped for them. And we need to keep our guard up that's actually what's going on. That's part of Marshall's research into this. What do you think about that?
I don't know if I'm a subscriber to that. I mean, there might be a few races out there that, might have those kinds of intentions, but I really feel that majority of the species that are dealing with us are benevolent in nature and are really prepping the planet, are really prepping us for the planet. because the planet is moving into a fourth density, and they're prepping us to do the same thing, or we got to go. So,
well, okay, so let's turn this around a little bit. Let's suppose Earth gets to the point where we can't live here, right? And it's bad. Maybe it's overpopulated. Maybe we burned out the soil. Maybe there's pollution, radioactivity, whatever. An asteroid hits, right? And we find another planet out there that is perfect. Would we just go and take it?
In order for a species to survive, I mean, if we had the technology to get there, we might. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I don't feel that this is happening.
Right.
First of all.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't really see any evidence of it. I mean, yeah, these genetic experiments are happening with the Zetas and all that, but I don't think it's because they want to take over the planet. I think it might be for, maybe they have a genetics issue themselves, or maybe they're helping us in some way and we don't know. I mean, those things are, as far as I understand it, they're drones. They don't even have consciousness. So it's who knows what their agenda is.
Right. And if we needed another planet and we were able to take it, from a species that is inhabiting that planet, but they couldn't deal with us. They didn't have the technology, right? Or the ability to fight back. We would probably just take it. That's what we do here on Earth, right?
Yeah, yes. but that's the whole point. I mean, as a third density species, which, like I said, that's largely what we are right now, moving into fourth. But as a third density, yeah, that's exactly what we would do. Now, as a fourth density race, no, we would not do that, because fourth density is all about learning and understanding what love is. And, a loving race, loving species isn't going to do that to another species. Which is why we haven't been taken over. You and I wouldn't even be on this show right now if ET wanted this place. They would just take it. Well, Jimmy, we both know we've been taken over a long, long time ago. That's what we're all waking up to, right? The takeover.
Right. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Kerr Smith.
Hello, Kerr. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I actually really love this whole fourth density discussion that you brought up. I wanted to try to tie it into Hollywood. You look at the name, and it's hiding in plain sight what Hollywood is in the name. Most people don't even really think about what does that even mean, but it's actually a reference to the wood that Harry Potter's wand is made out of. So you have a reference to witchcraft and wizardry right in the name of Hollywood.
Okay.
And so what I'm getting at is they have a spell, and they use their technology, and you break down what exactly their technology is, and they get these licenses to the spectrum, the electromagnetic spectrum. So in a way, they're using this, energy, this ability to access and deliver information at this mass scale, and they can stage events, and then they can culturally bring discussions up and use all this technology to shape and geoengineer, culturally engineer, engineering on every level.
Interesting. Well, let me ask you, what was your name? I'm sorry, I missed it.
This is Isaac from Anaheim.
Hi, Isaac. So what do you do? Do you not watch movies? Which is fine. I'm just asking.
No, I mean, it's fun. It becomes fun to sort of see the mind control tactics.
As long as you're aware of it. Right.
Right. And it's fun to analyze it and see certain, agendas at play and see certain messages being put out in so many channels that they own. And these corporate conglomerates, they all have all these millions of brands, thousands of brands, but they're all really one company.
Yeah, you're right. That's a really good point, Isaac. Kerr, what do you think about that? And thank you for the phone call, Isaac. Great question.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's right. The same people kind of own everything. I mean, I think we know that. If you follow the money, it's going to go down to probably a dozen families that go way, way back. The Hollywood thing, that's interesting to me because I always thought that Hollywood was named after the developer of that town. He named it after his daughter before it had anything to do with film.
Yeah, it was called Hollywoodland.
Yeah, Hollywoodland, right.
Yep.
So I don't know about the meaning of the name, but what are we talking about here? Are we talking about deep state? Are we going? Is that where we're going, or what?
Well, see, the thing is, and you're right about the following of the money. The more that I look at mass media in general, which now is every part of our lives like it's never been before. Smartphones have really, really taken over, and the ability to control the narrative, right? You are able to change emotions now with Twitter or with cell phones in a nanosecond, and you are able to do it all around the world all at the same time, right? In an instant. And the thing that concerns me, where I look at this, Kerr, is when you look at the influence of celebrity, and you look at somebody that's got, and it blows my mind, 25 million Twitter followers, right? 50 million, 10 million. And they say one thing on Twitter and then click tweet, and it goes out. You can now control the emotions of 25 million people in a click. Yep. Now, that amount of control certainly would be of interest to a lot of powers. A lot. Right? And we need to stop and recognize that. And I'm not going to name any celebrities specifically because there are many of them, but that's never been like that before. Ever in history.
No,
that's a lot of power. That's a lot of power.
It's too much power. And, some of the people I think that have that power don't have the understand the influential responsibility is what I'm going to call it, I guess. I have friends that are actors that have Twitter accounts that are not quite that large. That's a pretty big number. But, 500,000 million people. Mm-hmm. And I'll be sitting there on set and I've often thought exactly what you said. I'm just curious, what are you texting or what are you tweeting? And it'll be whatever. And I'm just thinking, man, that just hit 1 million people. The influential power that this person has is incredible. In my opinion, it's too much unless you're going to take that responsibility for it.
And this is, let me tell you what reality is. So let's say you have 1 million Twitter followers. You have 2 million, 5 million, right? And somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I'll give you $50,000 if you tweet something for me, for my company. Right? And it could be whatever. It could be shoes, could be food, could be alcohol, could be a band. It could be anything. But that thought right there seems rather obvious, right?
Yeah, no, I'm sure it happens.
Oh, it does. Of course it does.
Oh, of course it does. I mean,
of course it does.
I'll give you an example of the power of it. I mean, I was on this, I'm not going to name any names either, but on this job, I was on a job and I didn't even have a Twitter account. I've never really been a social media guy. I'm not on Facebook. I just can't do it. But I did open up a Twitter account, I don't know, about probably 3 years ago. And it was with an actor who was very well known in the Twitter community, had a lot of followers. And she was like, all right, let's just set you up. I'll get you started. And I'm like, great, set it up for me, do all that, blah, blah, blah. And then she just made a tweet saying, hey, my friend Kerr Smith just joined Twitter. By the end of that workday, I had 3,000 followers.
Right.
I mean, what? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. If this is what goes on, okay, let's not even blindly or try to act stupid about this. You are who you are, and you've got your 5 or 10 million followers. If you don't think that a briefcase full of untraceable cash, right? $100,000. I need this tweet. Here you go. Nobody knows but you and I. That tweet goes out. And so with that kind of power, celebrities are paid $5,000 or $10,000 to walk in the front door of a nightclub and walk out the back door of the nightclub and jump in a limo and split, just so a promoter can say so-and-so was here and the photographs are taken. This goes on at every Hollywood nightclub every day of the week. Okay, that's the business. And the same mentality is there for Twitter. Now, if you take it up a notch, those out there that want to control the narrative, whatever it is, and it could be political, it could be military, it could be food, it could be big pharma, and you need to influence people quickly, not through advertising on television. I'm talking about a tweet. It goes, and it happens. And that's a scary part of society, man, and that power corrupts. It corrupts. I wanted to ask you this. We were talking about technology, and Tom brought this up, Isaac brought this up with technology. This was going back 20 years. DVDs are taking off, right? So I go out and I get my new DVD player, and I'm, building my DVD collection, all UFO stuff. And I'm building, that. And I had a friend of mine come over from the industry, from the film industry. And he comes in, nothing to do with conspiracy. We never talked to UFOs. We never talked about Big Brother, none of that. And he comes in and he says this to me. He goes, that there is an interweaving that goes on with DVDs, and there are subliminal messages in everything, and they are controlling the population. They can't see it. It's on another frequency, but it is there. We do it. And I was like, whoa, slow down there, killer. Right? Now I don't want to watch my DVD player anymore. I'm like tripping. Have you ever heard anything like that before?
In my business, no. I've never heard anything like that. I mean, I believe it. I think something's coming out of my computer right now. I think something's coming out of my TV right now, whatever it might be. But the DVD, I mean, that's I've never heard that one before.
It messed with me. And when you implant that kind of thought, right, you can't escape it anymore. It's always there. There's an old trick in golf, right? And the trick in golf is this: if you have a friend and you've never beat him at golf, right? And you want to just take him down, and you want to bet, $100 for the round or $10 a hole, whatever. You want to take him down. All you do is say to him, "Hey man, hey bruh, on your backswing, do you inhale or exhale?" He's done, right? He's done. You have just, and now I've just, I just said the wrong thing to the audience. But if you think about that, you only have to plant the seed, right? You only plant the seed. And like my friend that was in the business in Hollywood, when he said that to me, it was planting the seed. Right? And that was it. I was constantly, every time I put in a DVD, is this one going to mess with me? Am I going to catch something here? Is there something there? And again, you can do that with Twitter. All you got to do is plant that seed, right? And now you've changed the flow of thought on huge segments of society.
I mean, you're still talking about it. How long ago was that?
Yeah, I know, right? Yes.
It's like that movie. What's the movie with DiCaprio? Starts with an I. It's about the dreaming.
Inception.
Fantastic movie. But they actually say that you need to. It's all about planting the seed in your mind so that the subject can make it blossom into his own idea. That's the only way that it takes. Same thing.
Yeah, and over the last couple of years, and we'll leave on this note, over the last couple of years, with the world being dealt, fake news and ISIS beheading videos and everything else that has just been, pummeling thought outside of our community. What do you think about that? Do you think that there's a darkness on the planet right now that is being dealt with, and people are now aware of it, and there's the possibility of us lifting this veil?
Yes, I think in order, the veil needs to be there in third density, period, because we didn't really get into the law of one too much tonight, but because of free will and all of that, we cannot really remember our higher selves because we'd already know everything and we wouldn't learn anything, so it wouldn't make sense. But as you enter into the fourth density, yes, I think that veil will be lifted to a greater degree, and we'll become aware of more of who we truly are as a spirit, and have maybe even gained different abilities, be able to be more intuitive, or maybe, speak telepathically. Who knows what the possibilities are? But the point is, we are moving there. That veil is going to be gradually lifted, and it's going to be a ride. And we talk about all this stuff, Kabbalah and all that. It has all this negativity about it, which I never want to leave the conversation spreading negativity, because that's the purpose of all of that.
Right.
I always want to throw a blanket over at the end of the conversation, something, talking about the spirituality part of it, that let's just remember what the bigger picture is here. And let's remember why we're all talking about this. Is because we want to wake up and we want to move with Gaia into that next density. That's what all this is about. And I really do believe there's a lot of benevolent ETs out there that are helping us do this.
You don't have to even know or be aware of what third density, 3D, 4D, 5D is, do you?
No, you don't. And in reality, humans love to put labels on things. It's how our brains work. You got, this is a tree, this is a glass, this is a cell phone, this is third density, fourth density. In reality, there is no different. I mean, it's a gradual difference in vibration. There are no segmented, sections.
Do you think that when we look back to ancient Egypt, ancient, China and Asia, that they were already there, and somehow we took a couple of dances backwards?
Yeah, I do. I think they've been here a lot longer than we have.
I know. It's funny to me that their references to when you think about Egypt went through, think about this for a second. It's mind blowing. They went through 1,000 years without a war, right? No weapons. They didn't even think about that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And then they suddenly became, they were infiltrated and invaded and so forth. But that changed for them. And it just makes you wonder how far along they were with consciousness and with densities and the ability to communicate and understand each other at other levels. And then somewhere along the line, they went backwards. I think the Greeks did it too as well. And China and Japan, where they had all of this consciousness going for them, and then somehow went backwards into a warring, killing society.
Yeah. Don't you wish sometimes you could just go back in time and see it for yourself?
And would you do that? Yeah. That's an honest question. And I ask a lot of guests the same thing. If you had the ability to go back, where would you go? What would you go and see? And don't say the crucifixion. What would you go and check out?
Well, honestly, Egypt would be one of them because I have a fascination with that culture.
Right.
I'd definitely roll back to the dinosaurs and just see what that was all about, just to experience it. The T-Rex running at you.
I would do that. I've thought about that. If this is my big fear, if you went back to, let's say, 100 million years ago, right, at the peak of the dinosaur age, you would jump off your little time machine ship or whatever, your teleport, your Stargate. You'd step out of your portal and be looking eyeball to eyeball at like a car. You know what I mean? A McDonald's.
Yeah.
You know, I think that would be the big surprise. I think that there was other things going on that long ago that, there's evidence of certainly, but I think that would be the big surprise. I'm serious, too, about that.
Dead serious. I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, I go back to Sumerian times, which we're really told is the beginning of our culture, right?
Right.
I mean, I've read many things that say there have been at least 5 different cultures here over millions and millions of years. So you're talking about going back to one of those, like Elysian times or Lemurians or whatever the 3 or 4 were before that, or that are so far long ago that we don't even know what they are. That would be really fun.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, you jump off your portal. You know, you're walking around. What? Somebody, you want some fries with these shakes? You're like, dude. You know, it's just like the cycle of life. Kerr Smith, man, you are so correct and you're so there. And I want you to come out to a contact in the desert with us and hang out there. And I guarantee a really cool sighting for you. We'll go do some sky watching with Bearing Optics, and I'll get you some night vision, and you'll get to share that epiphany, you and Lisa, with us. My invite.
Oh, man. Well, Lisa and I were talking about it earlier tonight, and we are definitely in. Would love to.
You know, there's we got to get you guys up to ECETI. You talked
about that too. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, and that'll be in August. So you've got to come up there and maybe Rita. We should have Kerr speak up at Soul Tech. Just an idea. I'm speaking out loud like we're closing the deal right now. Have your agent call my agent, and we'll see what we can do.
Nice.
Kerr, behave, and everybody. Kerr is going to be with me over at Coast to Coast this Friday, and he'll be live in the studio. Looking forward to it, Kerr. In the meantime, you and Lisa behave, have some fun, and we'll see you on Friday.
Thanks so much, Jimmy. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Kerr Smith, everybody. Now, if you go over to, thank you, Kerr. If you go over to jimmychurchradio.com, his website is right there. KerrSmith.net, and which will take you over, tell you everything that is going on in his life, not only with the spirituality sides of things and wellness, but of course his take on UFOs. It's all right there. What a great conversation tonight. Now, tomorrow night, I want to remind everybody that Zarathustra is going to be here. Oh, by the way, I didn't give Kerr the first-time guest disclaimer, so I am publicly apologizing for that. So excited about having him on the show, I blew right past the first-time guest disclaimer, and the audience caught that, and I apologize to Kerr. So there you go. I threw myself under the bus about that. Tomorrow night, Zarathustra is going to be here. And a lot of you have been following him over the years, and we've tried to make our schedules line up over the years to get him on the show. Tomorrow night, finally, he is going to be here, and he's such an interesting guy. And what he does, tonight we were talking about 3D and 4D and 5D. He's about that, but he's also about healing and taking care of the body. And his approach to that and how he teaches this and those techniques are just absolutely amazing. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow night. You're not going to want to miss that show. Thursday night is Fader night. A lot of comments have been coming at me about John Rappaport. He got taken down by the flu. The flu part is over. He lost his voice, and he's got a persistent cough, and he doesn't want to come on the show and cough, and I totally understand that. So that's what's going on there. Maybe he'll swing things around and get things right by Thursday night. Okay? All right, with that wraps another episode of Fade to Black. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Follow Kerr Smith at Actor Kerr Smith. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. And I will see everybody right here tomorrow night with Zarathustra. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Camarion. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2018 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Until tomorrow night, everybody be safe. Go Beckley Teppy.